Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold, and the Magi here with one last Duskmourn deck tech video. Was really hoping that we would see some accompanying cards for this. You'll see what I mean later. But we blinked and we missed it, and it just wasn't there for us. This particular deck is a real budget banger, and it utilizes a concept that I talk about quite a bit: use what you have. And if you were following the plan at all during Duskmourn season, you are going to have this deck probably with 0 wildcards. But before we get into all that, this season Duskmourn is focused on that horror genre and all of those fears that us 1/1 human tokens tend to share. But you know what I really find horrifying? Only 1/3 of the viewers that regularly watch my content have subscribed to the channel. So come on guys, take a moment, sub to the channel, support the content, and be sure to check your notification settings so you never miss out on a thing. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Now, I don't mean to scare anyone out there, but this deck is built around the Manifest Dread mechanic. The idea being that we're taking virtually random cards out of our deck and placing them face down as 2/2 creatures. Then the trick comes around, we blink that face down creature, it returns face up as some sort of ridiculous game ending threat, otherwise known as a bomb. Alright, so as we start taking a look at this deck in a little bit more detail, I've taken the liberty of breaking it down into basic packages. And the first one that we're going to talk about is right here in column 1. This is our Manifest or Cloak package. 4 copies of Manifest Dread, 4 copies of Growing Dread. We've got a Cryptic Coat in here. Maybe you've got one of those in your collection. If you don't worry about it. One that might be a little easier is Cursed Windbreaker. Does kind of the same thing. Also, Cursed Windbreaker and Cryptic Coat both give evasion, and might even keep some of those face-down creatures relevant and evasive. Beyond that, we've got a couple copies of Break Down the Door, and Hide in Plain Sight might be hiding in your collection and allow you to cloak a couple cards all at once. I would not be terribly concerned about the individual numbers here. It's more the concept and kind of cards. Please feel free to adjust this in accordance with what you have in your collection. Beyond that, here in column 2, we've got a very basic blink package with 4 copies of Splash Portal, Fortune the Loyal Steed, because hey, that was in this year's fall starter decks. Everybody's got at least 1 copy of this, and it's the main reason we splashed for white in this deck. We've also got, I'm using 2 copies of Long River Lurker, which essentially allows you to blink an additional card. And I think it's also worth noting Twinning Twins from Backham Wilds of Eldraine has the instant adventure Swift Spiral for 1 and a white mana. Exile target non-token creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. At the beginning of next end step. And keep in mind, these face down creatures are not tokens. Those are real cards. They just happen to be face down. But of course, when you blink it like this, it's going to come back face up. So what's the point of all this? Well, we want to cheat big, nasty, gnarly creatures in. And obvious things like Atraxa come to mind, Portal of Phyrexia. But I mean, hey, if you have these cards, you've probably already built a deck around them, but you might have ended up with 1 or 2 ofs pretty randomly and been looking for a reason to build a deck with these without burning a bunch of wild cards. Also, things like Atali Primal Conqueror, the brand new Sire of 7 Deaths, and brand new Darksteel Colossus are all creatures that are pretty fantastic to flip over basically for free. And don't forget, these face downs don't have to be creatures. When you're blinking it into play, any permanent will do, and Omniscience is a pretty nice one to have because it makes all of your other bombs cast for free and without the burdensome 10 mana casting cost that it usually carries. It's pretty nice. This last column here of non-lands is really just cards that should be in your collection from the starter decks either this last fall or last year. Glissa Sunslayer, Bonehorde Dracosaur, Railway Brawler, Ezram, Rankle and Torbrin, what a bomb. Ariel the Law Above, the other Atali, which we all just got in the Foundation starter decks. Same with Quilled Great Worm. We all have a copy of Rough Triplets and Bonnie Paul that puts 2 permanents into play. And of course, Galta Stampede Tyrant. It's also worth noting if you are blinking stuff, if you have already flipped over Rough Triplets, it creates 2 token copies, but then blinking it an additional time would make 2 more tokens, just really taking over the game. The land package is pretty basic. I'm running a single plains, 6 islands, 5 forests. Then we've got the blue-white dual lands that everybody should have from this year. Same with the white-green, Lush Portico and Temple of Plenty. And then, of course, the green-blue ones. And then my personal land package that I talk about all the time, Fabled Passage. I think Mirex is still a wonderful card, although it can be hard to time. That's a thing. Thran Portal lets you splash something like white pretty readily without having to tie up a lot of rare dual lands. And Bogboss Lair is another choose a color as it comes down, and really creates a lot of options for you very early. And don't forget, the entire budget principle that this deck is built around is to use what you have. While I have made a downloadable deck list available on EtherHub like I always do, there's no real magic to that list. Feel free to adjust it according to what is in your collection, because I can pretty much guarantee you if you craft the list as is, you've probably missed the point and will end up disappointed. There's also no particular magic or chemistry to the one-of nature of the bombs that I have placed in the deck. Certainly some are going to be better than others. You are going to have more of some than you are of others, and well, eventually you're going to find your favorites and want to adjust into that. But again, the name of the game here is use what you have. Don't just blindly download the list and craft it. You have been warned. And before we go, while every member of this community is important to me, I just wanted to take a moment and give a shout out to those patrons providing financial support and keeping the Stronghold from being a complete financial black hole. And of course, let me leave you with some suggestions for your next step here on the channel.